else is how many dudes that you get deployed with fall in love with you on deployment?
Oh Jesus. I don't. I guess I don't really pay any mind to it. To be completely honest, I try to keep things like very professional and very much in the mentality of you don't shit where you eat type thing. Because it's really hard, especially with like my Instagram and the followers, the wives of people, or even other females that I'm deployed with or work with. It's always really hard to maintain a good separation and balance with that.
Now, do you think, because I think the same, and that makes sense because it's like, I can tell you personally, so when I was in the military, there was no social media or anything, right? So, but if I was now, and here's a girl that's in my unit, and I know she's famous through Instagram, good looking girl, all this stuff, like, I'm thinking in the way of a sexist male, and I'm going, oh, this girl's definitely down, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to shoot my shot, whatever it is. Do you think it's, how do you maintain, how does a woman, especially a master sergeant, how do you maintain that level of like, do you make sure that it's respect at all levels?
It's really hard. You know, a lot of people are still going to do what they're going to do. You know, I have some people who no matter how many times I'm like, look, bro, like enough is enough. Stop. Like you've absolutely crossed the line. Some of them that like, they'll still like send messages or like be really catty and petty about stuff. But it's like, dude, at the end of the day, like I feel good in the fact that like, I'm still doing my job because I'm here for my job, not to make a relationship.
How inappropriate?
Well, here, I want to hold on. This is a better question. What I want to ask is, I want to segue that into what. So we need a PSA here. So guys, we're gonna help you out. What is the appropriate way to ask a woman out who you work with and accept rejection if rejection is received? Please. What is the most preferable response?
I mean, I think most females these days, like all we're asking for is to be respected. And if a dude is coming to ask me out on a date, if he's respectful about it, like, hey, I don't know what your situation is. I like to keep my personal life personal, right? So, you know, if a dude comes up to me and is like, hey, you know, I think you're good looking or whatever, and hey, can I take you to dinner? Like, that gives me the opportunity to make an assessment and say yes or no to that.
Applebee's has a 2-for-1. Would you care to?
I love Applebee's.
That's it. That's what they say.
But you know, I think a lot of dudes they're so used to that, you know, not being told no. Especially dudes in certain communities within the military, they're so used to getting their own way.
How so? Because I mean, I think to me it's a. So I'm a civilian, so there are different levels, and we live in LA, and we are in Hollywood, so there are definitely, I definitely understand the premise because there are people who are like, who basically, and I've heard this before that you know, women I know or have dated who have rejected celebrities, these dudes throw fucking tantrums, like they can't accept it, and it's like. I always think it's hysterical to me. It comes back to like what my mother always taught me: the woman always chooses. So if someone doesn't choose you, it's all good.
That's how it should be.
Yeah.
But like, there's dudes who, you know, I've turned them down multiple times, or have been like, yo, like enough is enough. Please stop contacting me. Where it's to the point where
so
like,
brutal. How could you mistake that for anything else than what it is?
I had to do that to Tommy in the beginning when we first met. And I was like,
I was trying to get on the podcast, but see, with me, it worked. You know what I mean? I sold a couple records.
Yeah.
He was like, man, this guy might bring some people to my platform.
Okay. Stay persistent, folks. Stay persistent, but not creepy.
I was pretty creepy.
Well, you know what? Well, that also goes to you. Is like, how do you think it's different as someone who you are and as well known as you are? Does a girl have to be respectful to you, or can she just say whatever the fuck she wants because you're a dude, because we look the way we look, whatever it is?
No,
you know what I mean?
I definitely experience, and like I'm like you know, in a microcosm of like, you know, I'm in the rock world, and it's a very niche thing, you know, and so in that world, yeah, I definitely have people send me inappropriate messages and inappropriate, like unsolicited nudes, and the weirdest thing is like for some reason people send me sex tapes of like couples or like, hey, look, and I'm like, I don't want to
fucking
see
on
you guys.
Monday.
Yeah, like I'm like, y'all need Jesus. Like,
but do you think it's different? I mean, is it
well,
is
for
it
the most
different
part
for men
me,
than it is women?
Yes, because for the most part for me, I'm not like sleazy, and my persona isn't such. Like I'm very transparent about who I am and like my values and what matters to me. But I'm also like still a little bit of a fucking asshole. So you might be like, maybe, but like you can't really get a feel on it. But it's the same thing. You don't need to expose all of who you are. But as a man, I'm not really the best way that I can understand what women go through is because men and women are different. So and the messages I get from gay dudes are so vulgar that I finally, and I'm like, I understand now. I'm like, oh my God, because they are nasty. But it's because guys are just gross. We're gross, you know? And so like, you know, am I worried that like Ramon is going to kidnap me and like turn me into his bitch lava? Like,
You
no.
should be.
Yeah, I'm not really worried about it. You know what I mean? I'm like, but I'm like 260 pounds. Like, you're not going to kidnap me. You know what I mean? Unless you work for the Clintons. And
or you get a good chloroform.
Yeah. Don't give anybody any ideas, okay? But yeah, so I get it. It's definitely hard to be a woman. That's why I'm curious. And it's also like taking a platform and speaking for women to teach and educate men how the fuck to behave. Yeah. That's it. It's like
I feel
that
like as
simple.
a society, we just don't know how to behave. It's just you just do and say whatever the fuck you want, and there's no repercussions. You know.
Well, that's the internet.
Yeah.
What about
what about anyone that outranks you? Do you feel that they feel like they can cross a line sometimes, or are they pretty?
Absolutely. I've had like commanders come on to me before. I had like a former supervisor. He would like make vulgar gestures and like point to his junk and be like, oh, well, you know, I'm a man, I can do this, oh, I can say whatever I want to you and stuff like that. But then like the second that I try to fire back or defend myself, oh, Kayla, you're complaining, oh, you better watch your tone, you know, and stuff like that. And you're like, what the, like.
Have you ever had to report sexual harassment?
In my younger, like in my early career, I should have multiple times.
What prevented you?
Fear. Big time. I think the culture now is like things are starting to come out and people are starting to report more. So like the statistics are coming out like, oh, these cases are coming up 70% more or higher. Yeah, because we're starting to actually like speak out against it because nothing was happening.
I know a lot of women that have PTSD from that stuff that still refuse to address it or talk about it or feel like nobody listens or nobody believes them. You know?
Yeah, and it's really hard, especially when it's folks that you work with or like supervisors or people who have a position of rank who can kind of hold that above your head. And they can essentially, you know,
make your life hell.
Absolutely. Prevent you from promoting or, you know, going to schools and things like that, you know, working on your career. But
what's that noise? Is that your phone? Your phone just
oh yeah, it might have buzzed, but you don't have the headphones on today, guy. You're fucking breaking protocol.
I'm not breaking protocol. Do I need them? I can hear you just fine.
All right.
What? Huh? Can't hear you.
So before we get into Vanessa Guillen, did you expect to become Instagram famous?
God, no. Not at all.
How did it? So how did this happen?
Because I need some pointers.
I'm like the worst person to give any advice on it because I don't know.
Yeah, you know, you want to be Instagram famous? Look like her. That's it.
All right, okay.
I was crawling by, like I was crawling at like 5,000 followers for like 7 years. I'm like, oh yeah, I had to sell like 1 million records to get like 50,000 followers.
All right,
nobody wants to look at us, bro. It's like
sell records, crop tops, and weapons.
Crop tops, jorts, Puma crop tops.
Yeah.
Maybe
grow your hair out, you know.
There you go.
No, that'll definitely. I will lose followers if I grow out the toilet seat, guy. It ain't happening. Fuck that.
I posted like one picture from my deployment in 2017, and that picture just got reposted kind of everywhere.
Kind of like within like the grunt style Vets Lives Matter, all that, like those.
There were a bunch
forums?
of and they
Do
were
any of them
like,
sponsor you or any of that shit?
no, I'm not sponsored. I just
Are you looking for a sponsor?
oh nice plug, nice plug.
Andy,
Yeah.
call me. No.
I was about to say, guy, we ain't sponsoring. I don't know what the fuck we don't have. Jesus Christ, we ain't built like that.
Hey, we don't have as many followers as she does.
That's what I'm saying. We need the fucking Kayla Manthey to sponsor us. Okay, so what's the so again? I said when I was in the military, social media wasn't a thing. Is social media like a bit? Because I feel like my drill sergeants, my platoon sergeant shit, had they this right now, like they would not have. I see a lot of things that I see kids have them in boot camp or this. I mean, how popular is social media and how frowned upon is it in the armed forces?
Having your phone in boot camp, that wasn't a thing. We had a bank of payphones. When I got to go when I had gone to boot camp. So things are very different now. Social media it's really big, and I think that some people are using their social media platform for good, and other people maybe they have different intentions with it, but to each their own. They could do whatever they want. For me though, like I've gotten in trouble for social media a lot. In like
Such as?
2012, I was on the Chive. I was the Chive Ed of the Week, and command like just nailed me. They wanted to kick me out. And there's an article that this female, so it was like the commander and like a bunch of other people from big Air Force. They had seen it and they were like, "Oh, we don't want her in our Air Force." And I'll never forget it because it was like devastating. I'm like,
what was it?
E2,
Just a picture?
And they were just pictures. It was like me sitting there in my uniform, or like there was nothing vulgar or crude about it. And I was very careful to separate like my modeling photos from photos that could be misconstrued or somebody like look at it in a negative way. But there was this female, she was like a colonel. She had said that I was too pretty to be in the military. And there was a military.com article on that. And I was like, oh my God, she ended up getting fired.
Busted lives matter.
Yeah. But like, that was like my first, like
I feel like most
things.
female colonels too have that Joe Montana style haircut, and like they had
G.I. Jane.
They're
Hate
aerodynamic.
men.
Yeah.
What?
hate gentlemen.
Oh yeah.
What was I gonna say? Okay, so Instagram and so what about like pictures you have? Like I see a lot of pictures on there with weapons and with the other girls and all that stuff, and they seem very out of uniform. You don't get in any trouble for that?
I have gotten in trouble. A lot of people complain in the DM.
I was gonna say
big time.
All
They're
the all
like,
the
"Oh, you
military
should be ashamed
guys.
of yourself."
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it's not like people who are in right now. A lot of it's like
know.
retired
Yeah.
people or
So proud.
people who are like, "Oh, I almost went to boot camp. You should be wearing that."
Yeah, that's like your band sucks. I'm like, what
Yeah.
band are you in? You're like,
Yeah.
I played
Right.
it.
That's like
banjo in high school.
the guy going,
fuck
I
you.
can recite Private Ryan. Why did you not have your BDUs on? It's like, dude, what?
I got a message from some guy the other day, and he was just like, I don't know, like, why you keep saying that you fly all the time because, you wear this uniform and, you must be you keep saying that you're a PJ. I'm like, bro, I never have said I'm a PJ, man. Like, I work with them. But a lot of people who, aren't in or they don't understand it, they're like, oh, that's kind of weird, and they ask a bunch of questions. But I get a lot of hate for my Instagram, but...
Well, I think that's
You have no idea.
Yeah.
I think, and honestly, Tommy's one of the ones that because I'll read things that people either post about him or me or whatever, and like he goes like, dude, fuck him, and like sometimes it's that simple to just remember that because like I'm not known, so when something like that happens, I want to take it so personal and go like, oh fuck, should I delete this? Should I take this down? I should have done that. And he's like, fuck him, and it's like sometimes you just need to hear that from someone else where it's just like, fuck him.
Oh yeah, I've had that like recently. I had some posts and it tore me up, and other people were posting these like really awful things about me and like very cruel things, and people people started to be like, hey, watch your back, I'm gonna make you a skin suit, and like just death threats and
Why
stuff like
is that
that.
a thing?
Yeah, I don't know.
I got some of those.
It's
I'm like,
the Botox, it's the skin. They just
they want the skin. They want your skin. I was like, oh, wait a
No.
sec. Oh, that's a whole other vibe.
Yeah,
It puts the lotion
in
on
a
its
way, I
skin.
want to go. In a way, I want to go. Okay, let's see this, dude, because I feel like you have to be very articulate to make me a skin suit. You can't fuck up too many
Well,
times.
I just want to meet someone who threatens that because
Yeah.
the most part is like, first of all,
You
like,
definitely got Velcro sneakers on.
well, dude, it's people who are like a lot. People who've like given me death threats. I'm like, first of all, I've been murdered. Second of all, I've seen murders. I've witnessed murders and been murdered. I've seen crazy shit. People stabbed to death, run over with cars, fucking just crazy shit. Cause that's where I grew up. Just and I'm like, most of y'all on the internet are not prepared for what that looks like.
Well, I play Call of Duty.
Yeah, I'm like, it's like I'm an Instagram model. I'm like, yeah, I'm a soldier on Call of Duty. Like, it's like, dude, you're not. You watch a bunch of horror movies, and you just like, just chill, bro, chill.